one noticed them. What the hell? I still don't know what they look like or who they are or who they could have been. Why? Hey guys, it's Danny here from Bullshit and Banter, and today I thought I would sit down and do my very first storytime video. As you can see by the title, this isn't a happy story. This is a sad story. But I'm fine now. Honestly, I just thought I would sit down and tell you what happened to me when I was recently in America on a holiday. So just to give you a little bit of background, at this current time I was staying with family in LA, and I'd been there for about a week and a half, and me and my cousin Daniel decided that because he had the weekend off that we would do a road trip to Las Vegas, and on the way back we would go through the Grand Canyon. So this was going to take about 3 days. It was honestly such an amazing time. And I was really lucky and so spoiled that I literally didn't have to pay for anything, which is so lucky, but I'm only saying that because it will make sense in the story. When we got back, I decided to go shopping with my cousin Gina, and she had just had a baby. Literally like 2 months ago, she just had a kid, and his name his name is Zach, and he's literally the cutest little kid. We went to Macy's because I had done a lot of makeup shopping. Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipsticks are only sold, I think, in a few stores, so we knew that they would be sold in Macy's, and I was like just determined, like I've only got a week and a half left, like I need to go, and this was just the perfect day to go. Another important detail that I feel like I should add is that at the time that I was in Las Vegas, I had my passport on me. On the way back from Vegas, I asked my aunt if she would look after it for me, and the morning that we decided to go to Macy's, she goes to me, "Oh my gosh, I still have your passport. Do you want it back?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll get it later." Keep that in mind. So we get to the mall and we start off by shopping in the clothing section of Macy's. And I remember we were trying on a few things. I went into the change room and I tried on a few dresses. And whilst I was in the changing room, I took my phone out of my bag and I looked at it. And I saw that I had a missed FaceTime call from my mom. And I remember it was 1:30. That time is like engraved in my brain now. I thought to myself, well, don't ring her back now because we're about to go to the cosmetics section. We can just ring her. We should only be about half an hour tops, and then we're going home anyway, so I'll have a better chance to talk to her. And I remember, and I know this is going to sound bizarre, but I was like to myself, oh, just put your phone in your bra and you won't forget to call her back. But I didn't. I carried it in my hand for some reason. And when we got downstairs, I must have put it back in my bag. So we head down to the cosmetic department, and I remember it was not busy. It was actually dead. Like there was nobody there. We were the only customers there, and the only people that were there were the makeup artists that worked for each brand. And I remember this because they were paying us so much attention. They were fascinated by my accent, and they were clearly obsessed with Zach. So the first thing I did when I got there was obviously check out the Anastasia range, and my cousin was with little Zach, who was just chilling in his pram, looking cute and quiet, and she went with a makeup artist who sat her down and was going to demonstrate a product on her. And I said to her, yeah, you sit down, you get your pamper girl. If he cries, I've got her. Again, there was no one there. We were being pampered and helped left, right, and center. It was like the perfect experience for me because I was like, we don't have this, treat me, pamper me. I was so excited. Everyone was so nice and friendly and super helpful. A makeup artist had decided to help me, and I was like, oh wait, like let me get my list out because I'd made a list of all the stuff I wanted to get. So the bag I was carrying was basically a tiny little crossover bag, and all I could fit in it, and it was already jam-packed, was my Mimco pouch in it, which had obviously my money and my cards. It had my iPhone, which I was using to take photos and connect to Wi-Fi, because that's pretty much all it could do. Like, it couldn't connect to network or anything. I had a temporary American phone, which was a basic little flip phone so that I could communicate with my family in the US, and it had 2 lime crime lipsticks, which I had just purchased, but I brought with me so that I didn't accidentally get too many of the same colors in different brands. That was literally the contents of my bag plus the little list I made. But because the bag was so small, every time you wanted to get something out, you had to take a few things out, if that makes sense, because you couldn't really move it around. It was packed full. It was tiny little bag. I just can't seem to find the list, so I end up taking the bag off me. As I get the list out, I'm closing my bag. Zach starts to cry. I walk over to the stroller and I put my bag in the stroller and I pick him right up. Pretty much like a quick exchange. I'm just tapping on him and calming him down, and the distance between myself and Gina is the stroller. Like, it's literally, we're all connected to each other pretty much. It is right in front of us. Again, there's no one in the cosmetics section except us and the makeup artists. And they obviously all have their attention on us, and they're upset that he's upset crying. We were all right there. I calm him down. He's fine. He's getting attention. Everyone's happy. Gina's still getting her makeup on. And I put him back in the stroller. And I go with the girl and I go with my list. Gina's finished and we take whatever we wanted to get to the counter. At this point, I'm about to pay. I've had the most amazing time. I can't find my purse. I can't find it. And my heart just sinks. And I start to freak out. And everyone starts to freak out. And Gina's like, oh my gosh, maybe you left it upstairs in the change room. And I'm like, no, I know. In my head, I'm like, no, I know I was here. I know I had it. I know I got my list out. And even she is saying, I know you had it because you got your list out. I still go upstairs to the changing room. I look in the change room and I'm freaking out. I know it's not there. The first thing we do is we get on Gina's phone and we FaceTime my iPhone, and immediately you can tell it's switched off. And then when we phoned the temporary US phone and that was switched off, we knew immediately it had been stolen. The next thing we do is we go onto the website of the cards that I got for travel, and we call the number, and immediately I'm like, you guys need to cancel my card, my bag has been stolen. The woman says to me, what is your card number? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't have my card, they've stolen my card, they're spending my money. I'm freaking out. I'm like, just ask me security questions quick. The next thing I remember is that I took a photo of both cards and sent it to my mum in an email. So I grabbed someone else's iPhone, one of the makeup artists, and I go onto the internet and I log onto my email, and there is the picture, and I read out the card number to the person on the phone. Immediately I just start reading out the number of the cards to her, and I tell her, you need to cancel the first one, they've got it and they're spending my money. The secondary card was back home, so I was just chill about that one. Within like 5 minutes of her finishing the security questions, obviously
it feels like the longest time.
She tells me that she sent me a form and I need to fill it out, and I need to say which transactions are fraudulent, and then that form is going to be sent all the way to England, and then they will make sure that they refund the money if they can prove that it is fraudulent. And I say to her, I have not spent money since the 19th of February, so you need to tell me if there's a transaction from today. And that day was the 23rd of February. I was like, is there a transaction today? Because that's fraudulent. Any transaction made from today is fraudulent. And she's like, there has been a transaction made on the 23rd of February. In my head, I'm like, Danny, it's okay. If it's $300 US, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just, they're going to cancel it now. Since the last time I had my purse, it has only been 25 minutes. They have probably only had my purse for 15 minutes. And there's already been a transaction. My cousin is going up to security. She's asking to look at the cameras. Another makeup artist is on the phone calling the cops to come. And I'm busy on this phone with the card lady. She says to me, the last transaction that was made was at 1:53:52 p.m. $3,618. I just start bawling my eyes out. All my money pretty much gone in 15 minutes. I was like, that's fraudulent. She then proceeds to tell me that there's been 2 other attempted transactions made at another mall. So these people were fast. She finishes telling me everything that she needs to tell me. I feel physically sick. I don't care about materialistic items. I don't actually care that my phone was gone. It's like the fact that it had like all my pictures on it, that they can't even use it in the US. It's like really annoying. It was my money and these people just took it and they stole it. Like, just made me feel so sick. Eventually the sheriff came. That just makes me laugh. I remember when my cousin was like, oh, we've got a sheriff coming. I was like, guys, this is a serious theft. Can we get a real cop there? And no offense to sheriffs out there, but sheriff just sounds like a cartoon thing because no one else, not that I know, in the world calls cops sheriffs. At this time that the cops came, sheriffs, we found out that the theft had taken place in the store literally next door. I don't want to name the store, so I'm just going to call them MP Dollar. My cousin went to the jewelry counter because we found out that it was spent on jewelry, and she says to the person, how come you didn't ask for an ID or a signature? Because apparently in America, if you push credit, you have to give some proof of ID or evidence, especially if you were going to be spending that amount of money that quickly on jewelry. Every single time that I've used that card, I've had to put in a PIN or my signature. The one time that amount of money is spent fraudulently, they do nothing about it. I was so mad. The manager of the jewelry counter says, oh yeah, I know which purchase you're talking about. The person who put that purchase through has left for the day, unfortunately, but she said to me she was so excited because she'd never made a sale that big before that she, forgot to ask for a signature or ID. Forgot to ask. And then suspiciously leaves for the day. And nobody thought to question her. No. I think she might be involved, but I ain't going to be accusing no innocent person. I remember the sheriff coming up to me and my cousin and saying, are you traveling alone? And I was like, yeah, I'm traveling on my own. And he goes, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, that's so bizarre because there was a girl here last week from Australia and she claims that someone stole her bag too. I was like, buddy, I'm from New Zealand, not Australia. And second of all, they're obviously just picking on us because we're from a different place. They must have been following us. He tells us that they must be targeting young travelers on their own, especially young women, young mums who are distracted by their babies. And he told us of an incident where they were targeting an elderly woman who was literally getting her makeup done. She was sitting on a stool and she tucked her bag safely underneath her seat. And the makeup artist is obviously right in front of her doing her makeup, practically smooching her face with a brush. These people are so skilled. They just walk past, back and forth. No one really notices them. They don't suspect a thing, that the makeup artist is literally looking in their general direction and doesn't pick up on anything, but they are subtly kicking the person's bag as they walk back and forward that you wouldn't even notice, that eventually they've kicked it far enough that they can just pick it up and walk away. People are bad. They picked on me. After we had spoken to the sheriff, it was actually pretty late now. We went and got some cookies and we took them to the people at the makeup counter just to say thank you so much for dealing with us. They were all honestly so sweet and generous and concerned and empathetic. They were just so nice and we just wanted to thank them so much. We ended up just talking to them a little bit and everyone was just so shocked about everything that happened. The security cameras showed two people, a woman and a man, stealing my bag out of the stroller. Woman apparently distracted us. None of us remembered that there was anyone there. Everyone was like, who was here? There was no one here. No one saw them. No one knew they were there. They were so sly. They weren't even there. Like, I swear they're ghosts. I don't know. There was no one there. Everyone was just shocked that they were there. We went home, I sorted out as much as I could, and luckily that transaction was put back into my card because it was so obvious the amount that they spent in one go was nothing like any of my transactions. You bet your bottom dollar the minute that money came into my account, I spent it. No, I'm just kidding. I never spent all of it, but I did take myself shopping the next day, and I was like, I'm gonna spend this money on myself because it's better than someone else spending my money on themselves, you know? The one thing I learned and passed on to everyone is wear a fanny pack. They're cool because they're certainly cooler than getting your shit stolen. And the second thing I learned is take a photo of your cards and email them to someone. Make sure you have a secondary card because you never know when you might need it. Apparently my friend lost hers on a ride. She watched her card fall. So secondary cards are super important. Those people were never caught, that jewelry will never be recovered, and that store just loses money. When we phoned their head office to complain that they didn't ask for a signature when they put through that transaction, they literally couldn't give a shit. They weren't even concerned. Thank goodness I did not take my passport from my aunt because that would have been gone. That would have been stolen that day. I wish I had put my iPhone in my bra. That was the story of when my handbag got stolen in America. Woo! If you guys want to see any more storytime videos or you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!